morning, I'm Carlos Careño and welcome to NTV News for February 24th, 2021. Today we will be looking at a documentary that we submitted for SIVA, but first we have a few announcements.
As part of our month-long celebration of Black History Month and in cooperation with the BSU, today we present Bryan Stevenson. The movie Just Mercy stars Michael B. Jordan as civil rights attorney Bryan Stevenson. Stevenson is an important civil rights lawyer dedicated to equity and challenging the historical legacy of systemic racism in the United States. Due to racist sentencing practices, the U.S. has the highest rate of incarceration in the world. Stevenson's successful efforts to stand up for the poor, the marginalized, and the innocent, including people on death row, has inspired many Americans to work for a more just society. Stevenson is an outspoken opponent of the death penalty. In 1989, he founded the organization that is today called the Equal Justice Initiative, which has for decades advocated people on death row. Every year, they represent hundreds of mostly black men in the criminal justice system and have won the release or reversal for over 140 wrongfully condemned individuals on death row. He has also argued and won cases before the U.S. Supreme Court that have advanced the criminal justice rights of people with mental illness, the right of minors prosecuted as adults, and victims of excessively long sentencing, which often disproportionately affects the poor and people of color. Bryan Stevenson's work is rooted in addressing systemic racism and our unresolved history of slavery and white supremacy in the U.S. Stevenson and the Equal Justice Initiative have also deeply engaged in documenting the history of slavery, lynchings, and segregation in the U.S., opening both a museum and a memorial in Montgomery, Alabama, where Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. By advocating for a nationwide process to face our legacy of slavery and white supremacy, Stevenson is working to create the structural changes necessary for our healing from the country's long and violent history of racial injustice. Bryan Stevenson has been awarded an NAACP Image Award and the Times Magazine 100 Most Influential People Award, honorary Doctor of Law degrees from Princeton University and the University of Oxford, and the Global Citizen Prize for Global Citizen of the Year, among many other awards. Today, we celebrate civil rights attorney, author, and activist Bryan Stevenson.
Now here's a documentary for immigration visa process.
California is home to almost 11 million immigrants, about a quarter of the foreign-born population nationwide. The most recent year of data in 2017, 27% of California's population was foreign-born, more than double the percentage in the rest of the country. Immigrants have two different ways they can be in the country legally. Immigrant visas give its holders the right to stay in the U.S. permanently, whereas with a U.S. non-immigrant visa, the person is required to return to their home country when their visa expires. An immigrant visa does not expire. It allows you to live, work, and study in the U.S., or engage in any activity you like. Once you get the immigrant visa, you do not need to renew it, extend it. It is valid permanently unless you engage in an illegal activity in the U.S. to have your immigrant visa revoked. The immigrant visa does not constrain you to stay in the U.S., but you can travel in and out of the U.S. anytime you would like, and not have your visa endangered of being revoked or canceled as long as you have a re-entry permit. Once a person obtains an immigrant visa and comes to the United States, they become an LPR. LPR, which is short for Lawful Permanent Resident. In some circumstances, non-citizens already inside the United States can obtain LPR status through a process known as Adjustment of Status. After residing in the United States for 5 years or 3 years in some circumstances, LPRs are eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. It is impossible to apply for citizenship through the process without becoming an LPR first. A limited number of visas are available every year under the family preference system, but prospective immigrants must meet standard eligibility criteria and petitioners must meet certain age and financial requirements.
Híjole, no me acuerdo, pero ya tiene 20 años. Yo he de haber tenido como 40 años. Pues solamente me subí al avión y me vine.
¿No tuve que hacer la visa ni nada de eso?
Ah, bueno. Para poder venir a Estados Unidos.
Sí, para poder venir.
Pues sí, saqué mi visa, fui muchas veces allá en México y no me la dieron, tuve que ir a Guadalajara, hice un montón de cosas para poder ir a Guadalajara. Como soy de Zacatecas, tuve que ir a Zacatecas, agarrar un pasaporte en Zacatecas y luego de allá tramité mi visa y me vine a trabajar y pedí permiso y regresé y ya me...
The processing time for a U.S. visa application depends a lot on the type of visa you are trying to get. With a temporary non-immigrant visa, that can take a few weeks or months at most, to the immigrant visa cases that take years to get approved, since the U.S. government considers each applicant on a case-by-case basis in the order they are received.
Voy a sacar el pasaporte.
Ajá.
Me dijeron, en 15 días regrese por su pasaporte, porque tenía que ir a recogerlo a la oficina. Y luego, porque allá así es. Y después ya regresé. El día que regresé por el pasaporte, fui con una señora que tenía envíos de transporte y mandaba mucha gente en sus camiones a visar, a sacar sus visas. Hice mi cita, me citó y luego ya me presenté el día que íbamos a salir para Guadalajara.
In order to obtain your U.S. visa, the sponsor must first submit a petition to the U.S. It can be a family-based petition or an employment-based petition. Once the USCIS approves the petition, it will be sent to the National Visa Center. Once the application is close to its priority date, you will have to pay the Affidavit of Support processing fee and an immigrant application processing fee. Once the Affidavit of Support is paid, NVC will send the I-864 forms and instructions to the petitioner. You will need to gather, scan, and submit documents. The NVC will determine the status of your documents, and if everything is correct, they will schedule an interview with you. The applicant and his or her family members will need to go to the immigrant visa medical examination. Then the applicant and their family members must visit the consulate on the appointment day for an immigrant visa interview. If you already live in the U.S., you may be eligible for an adjustment of status as a permanent resident. When your case becomes current, NVC will send you a letter stating you may be eligible for adjustment of status and asking whether you would like an adjust or apply at the U.S. Consular section abroad.
La parte más dura, cuando iba a México, fui como unas 3 o 4 veces y siempre me la negaron. Vine a Ciudad Juárez también a intentar sacar mi visa y sí me la iban a dar, pero como traía en el pasaporte negada de México, me mandaron, vaya ya, sí se la van a dar, y allá nomás llegué, me sellaron el pasaporte y no califica. Ya me tuve que esperar a que se venciera el pasaporte, sacar otro pasaporte, porque ya había pensado en todas las personas que han sacado visa, que vienen de las rancherías a Guadalajara y si se las dan. Entonces yo me fui para allá, agarré todo lo que te platiqué, el pasaporte y todo. Y como soy nacida allá en Zacatecas, pues me fue fácil agarrar todo y ya me fui. Pues estuvo difícil porque de 40 personas que íbamos en el autobús, nada más nos dieron a 2.
¿Usted y otro?
Porque yo tuve la certeza de meter mi boleto entre mis papeles que entregué a la cónsul y creo que le atiné porque sí me la dieron.
In conclusion, many people do not know the struggles or significant factors that go along the process of visiting or trying to live in the U.S. or to any other country they were not born in, and no one deserves to struggle to get a better life.
That's it for our show today. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and remember, it's a great day to be a Nighthawk. Caw!